Bill O'Reilly is going to rant about liberal media bias and corruption. So let's listen to this clown, and then I want to give you a detailed breakdown of his argument.
On the newspaper front, the big three liberal papers, the New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post, printed 56 stories and commentaries about Governor Christie in the first week. 56! First week of the VA scandal, 2 stories. First week of the IRS scandal, 3 stories. You want media bias? There it is, beyond a reasonable doubt. So, if James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin were with us today, they'd be the lead guests on A Factor this evening, because those men envisioned a fair press in America, a media that would inform the people, giving them honest information so they could make educated votes. But that's not what we have today. And that corruption in the media is greatly harming this nation. Again, there's no question about it. There's no question the major national media in America is trying to protect President Obama.
No question about it. No question that the media is protecting President Obama. Like when they lambasted him for not going into Syria, and they did it on a daily basis. Wait, what? Okay, it wasn't that long ago, Bill. We all have eyes, we all have ears. I can't tell you how many times on all of the channels they said, well, Obama said he drew a red line, and, you know, Assad crossed the red line, and we still haven't bombed Syria or gone into Syria. Does this show him as weak on the national scene? It might do that. They went after him for not going into Syria. How exactly were they protecting him by going after him? Oh, right, they weren't. How about when they called him weak for not going into Ukraine? When Russia took Crimea, somehow everybody blamed Obama in the media. Like, oh, well, what's he gonna do? He's got to do something. Well, why is he sitting there? I don't understand. What are we gonna do? Maybe it's not his fucking business. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe he doesn't actually control fucking Vladimir Putin like he's a puppet. Like, why is it the fault of the president of the United States if Putin decides to be a douchebag? It's got nothing to do with the president of the United States, but the media across the board. Does this mean he's weak? There's no respect for him internationally. How were they protecting him when they were calling him weak? That's right, they weren't. Or how about, here's one, when he got PolitiFact's Lie of the Year, and every single media outlet covered it ad nauseum, ad infinitum for a week. For something, by the way, look, I'll go out on a limb here and just say it. It wasn't even a bad lie, because Obama said, well, you can keep your health care if you like it. But what he should have said is, actually, the people with the shittiest healthcare, even if you like it, sorry, but you're gonna get better healthcare. Ooh, what a scandal. He gave you better healthcare. Yeah, terrible, man. I know. What a horrible guy he is. But how were they protecting him when they were calling him out for the lie of the year and right in his face about it? Oh, that's right. They weren't doing that. Now, why is the media, let's go scandal for scandal here, the ones he laid out. Why is the media not covering the IRS scandal? Because they already did, and it's over. It is over. The IRS checked liberal and conservative groups, okay? They approved all of the conservative groups. In fact, the only group that was blocked was a liberal group. And the person in charge of the IRS the entire time was a conservative George W. Bush appointment. And also, by the way, the groups were all political, and they were all asking for 501c4 status, which would mean that they can't be political. They would have to exist for just social welfare, as opposed to what's called electioneering, which means you're being a political group. So the real scandal is that all these conservative groups got away with a different tax status when they weren't really allowed to get away with it. But they didn't get in trouble for it at all. All the conservative groups were approved. So there is no scandal. Now they're flipping out about this whole thing with Lois Lerner's emails. Because, oh, we can't find all the emails. We can't find all the emails. But there's no scandal. What does it matter if you find emails or don't find emails? There's no scandal. We already know that. That's what the facts show. For fuck's sake, the entire time at the IRS, it was a George W. Bush appointment who was leading it. You're going to tell me that guy was doing anti-conservative propaganda? And by the way, the name of the fucking groups that we were questioning here were like, We Hate Taxes Tea Party org. Yeah, I think you might want to look into those groups a little more. call me biased. It's like somebody saying, I heart robbery. Well, maybe the cops should look into that guy, of the I heart robbery group, you think? God, it's amazing that he's still harping away on this. Now, why are they not covering the VA scandal? Well, they are, so you're wrong. I've seen coverage of the VA scandal on every single channel, in every single newspaper, on every single site. And by the way, if they covered it objectively, Bill, it would paint the Republicans in an even worse light and Obama in an even better light. Because like we discussed the other day, the Democrats had a bill to create 27 new VA clinics that would have definitely helped get rid of that backlog and get people off those waiting lists. Who blocked it? The Republicans, the people you defend on a daily basis, Bill. And then also when he's invoking Ben Franklin and James Madison, please, son, please calm yourself. Who are you? You're an asshole on Fox News with a loud mouth. How dare you invoke Benjamin Franklin and James Madison as if they'd be sitting there waiting to watch Greta Van Susteren with you. What a joke. What are they, Hannity fans? Is that what they are? Do they like torture and they like invading random countries in the Middle East? Is that what they like doing? So the idea of liberal bias in the media is absurd, man. And we've gone over this before. The only station that has a Democratic bias, which, by the way, is not the same as a liberal bias, is MSNBC. They carry water for the Democratic Party. There's no doubt about that. But all the other mainstream media channels, they have what's called a neutrality bias. Now, it's not a good thing. People conflate neutrality and objectivity in their heads, okay? Objectivity is good. Neutrality is not. That means you're going to go out of your way to try to make everything look like it's 50-50. And when those stations have that neutrality bias, which they do, you know how that manifests itself in real life? As a conservative media bias. So let me explain what I mean. When you set up every premise as 50-50, what happens? So just to give a few examples here. So you have a global warming denier debate a global warming believer, and you disregard the fact that 99.9% of the science is on the side of global warming being true, but you set it up like it's 50-50. So what are you doing there? You're actually skewing the debate in favor of the conservatives because you're giving them 50% when you should give them 0.1%. Or how about gay rights? You have on an anti-gay bigot and a homophobe to debate somebody who believes in gay marriage. You're setting it up like it's a 50-50 premise. It's not a 50-50 premise. Okay, that's like having somebody who believes in interracial marriage debating somebody who doesn't. The guy who doesn't is just a fucking bigot. So again, it's skewed towards conservatives. Or an evolution debate. I've seen on CNN a debate between evolution and creationism, and should that be taught in schools alongside each other. You're skewing the debate in favor of conservatives, again, because you're pretending like creationism really is a 50% legitimate side of the debate. It's not. So if there's any real bias in the media, it's a neutrality bias which manifests itself as an actual conservative bias, because you end up giving these discredited conservative ideas more credit than they deserve. And finally, this will be the last thing I say on this. Fox News lecturing about media corruption and accuracy is L-O fucking L funny. Bill O'Reilly and Fox News, they were both the biggest warriors and cheerleaders of misinformation and propaganda that got us into the Iraq War, where thousands of brave young men and women died serving their country, and hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqi civilians died. Bill O'Reilly, the only thing we should hear from this jackass is an apology for his corruption and his misinformation and his propaganda, which got people killed.